This is the extended hand of humanity, the 21st century underground railroad for pro-democracy Americans seeking safe passage to the truth, as well as the assault on our democracy and those that pose a threat to it. I'm your conductor, Mike B. Welcome aboard. As we close out Donald Trump's first 100 days in office filled with mass confusion and pure chaos, the fast and furious pace towards dismantling our government, moving us into an oligarchy with the ultimate goal of transforming it from a democracy into an autocracy, and fulfilling Trump's quest to be an authoritarian quickens, as he recognizes the resistance to this by the American people has also grown stronger, larger, and far more organized and vocal than he likely anticipated. With thousands of people protesting daily about one disastrous thing that he has caused after another, that he has inflicted on the American people, much of it unlawful and unconstitutional. His job approval ratings continue to hit new lows. In the history of the polling, Donald Trump has the lowest job approval rating after the first 100 days on the job of any American president. The only president to come close is Donald Trump himself in his first term. And it's not just one thing that he is doing that the American people don't like. It's pretty much everything he is doing or not doing. Everything that Kamala Harris warned us of should Donald Trump be elected is proving to be true. From her warning about Project 2025 to how his tariffs would wreck our economy and lead us into a recession and be a tax on the American people, to his lack of policies and a cohesive plan, his capitulation to Putin, his desire to be a dictator, his assault on our democracy, and his disregard for the law and the Constitution. It is all playing out just as she said it was, with just a little over 3 months into his 4-year term. His shadow president, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, that he is tasked with doing many of his dirty deeds, whom, like Trump, has an unquenchable thirst for wealth and power, whom himself is the author of many of the dirty deeds, is using his bought and paid for favor with Trump to disadvantage the American people to further advantage himself. Using the power he purchased for an estimated $250 million, a drop in the bucket for the richest man in the world, to shut down investigations into himself and his businesses, firing all those involved and using his mini-me's to destroy all digital and paper trails along the way. But he is learning the hard way that not everything can be bought with money, like charisma or just plain likability, and he has quickly become one of the most disliked, unpopular people, not just in America, but around the world. Like an anchor around the Tesla brand, he is pulling it down, and its stock value is sinking like the Titanic, with Tesla sales down a whopping 71%. The word that most accurately describes Elon Musk is pathetic, with stupidity being a close second. In a matter of months, he has self-inflicted irreversible damage to his brand, the Tesla brand, and erased the favorable impression that he not long ago enjoyed around the world. It is as if a mask was lifted, and instead of the genius that many thought was behind it, a buffoon was revealed instead. How else do you explain a person who insults the very people whom were buying his vehicles, the so-called woke liberals, and sides with those in the extreme right MAGA cult whom are anti-electric vehicle, anti-anything to do with progress or change, many whom fall in one of the largest categories that support Trump, those that Trump says he loves, the poorly educated, whom are also willfully ignorant and can't afford a Tesla even if they weren't so opposed to electric vehicles. Those who, like their leader, really don't like him, but are willing to hold their nose and pretend they do for as long as he keeps dishing out cash and providing a media platform that allows them to lie, spew hatred and vitriol, and spread disinformation to millions of uninformed, impressionable Americans. Elon Musk is on display as an example that common sense is not required to acquire a fortune. Greed, ruthlessness, and narcissism play a much larger role. Musk, unlike Trump, is unable to hide his disdain for average American people. And unlike the mask that hid the buffoon, this mask is transparent. And as he made himself more visible to the public, we could easily see through it. While Trump won the presidential election for a variety of reasons, most not good, the majority of American people are unlike the sycophants that surround the table with Trump and the ultra-rich oligarchs hoping to scoop up the crumbs that fall from the mouths of those who feast on that which they have stolen from the American people. Delusional crumb snatchers who will never be invited to sit at that table, blinded by their greed, selfishness, and arrogance. Donald Trump and his administration are attempting a reverse Robin Hood and stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. In 2018, Rick Wilson, a longtime Republican strategist and political commentator, wrote a #1 New York Times bestseller titled "Everything Trump Touches Dies." In a previous podcast, I referred to Trump as a plague on America for this very reason. And yet, this is the man many voted for to lead our country. A godless man who worships only himself. A man who views the gullible that follow him as suckers and losers and disposable should they ever dare to disagree with him. And just like Musk has damaged and tarnished his personal brand and Tesla's brand, Donald Trump has tarnished America's brand all around the world. And my fear is that the damage to the American brand will take decades to repair. For those outside of the United States who are watching this catastrophe, particularly those affected by it directly or indirectly, who think the American people have completely lost their minds and are insane, my question to my fellow Americans is, why wouldn't they? While more than half of Americans didn't vote for Donald Trump, those that didn't vote at all or voted for a third-party candidate knowing that candidate didn't stand a snowball in hell's chance of winning might as well have voted for him because you helped put him in office. If insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, I say if the straitjacket fits, wear it. And it's not like those on the outside looking in haven't given us the benefit of doubt. Lord knows they have been more understanding than we would have been. Even if you put aside the fact that Donald Trump is a disgusting, poor excuse of a human being with a long history of hurting others to enrich himself, the long list of businesses that he has touched that have died, the people who have entered his orbit whose lives have been ruined, painted a clear picture for anyone willing to look to see. The first time we elected Donald Trump, and I say we, even though many of us didn't vote for him, but since we are all Americans, we will be held responsible for his actions and suffer the consequences of his stupidity, our friends and allies abroad were willing to write it off as a fluke. A momentary lapse in judgment by enough disgruntled Americans who felt they were getting the short end of the stick, but whom, after 4 years of him displaying that he was not a serious or intelligent person, whose stupidity caused the lives of thousands due to his mishandling of the COVID pandemic and causing us to drift further into a recession, that we had learned from this and were once again a nation to be respected and admired. Joe Biden rebuilt our alliances and made them stronger than ever. And while our economy, due to inflation, was not all that it could be, in spite of all the misinformation, was the envy of the world. And our 401ks were doing very well. The stock market was booming. But the flim-flam man did what he does best. He deceived and lied and pitted people against each other and promised things he had no intention of fulfilling. He told black men and Hispanic men, many of whom were desperate and felt defeated, that the Democrats were taking advantage of them and had not done anything for them and wasn't going to do anything for them, and that he had their back. In both cases, this could not have been further from the truth. Starting in the 1960s, when the parties switched because the Democrats integrated the schools in the South, almost all gains that minorities as well as women have benefited from have been the result of the Democrats. MAGA Republican pundits attempting to defend Trump's disastrous first 100 days on cable news shows tried out the let's all calm down, he's only been in office for a little more than 3 months spiel, which on most of the networks fell flat, with the news show hosts by and large pointing out that's what most Americans find concerning. In just 3 months, he's threatened and put Social Security at risk, defunded Medicaid and Medicare, fired thousands of government employees doing vital work for the American people, attempted to dissolve governmental consumer protection organizations as well as environmental protections by deregulation, putting the desires of oligarchs and large corporations ahead of the health and well-being of the American people, damaged our relationship with our foreign allies and attempted to shake them down like a mob boss, sided with Putin over Zelensky, held back funds to Ukraine, falsely claimed that Ukraine started the war with Russia, defunded government aid programs that were literally keeping children alive, fired thousands of people from the VA, many of them veterans, mounted a power grab that threatens our democracy and the rule of law, bypassed the Congress with illegal executive orders, refused to comply when ordered by the courts, put us on the brink of a constitutional crisis, created uncertainty in the markets, which has caused huge stock market crashes costing investors trillions of dollars, caused the stock market its worst April since 1932 in the heart of the Great Depression, forced many to put off retirement because of losses in their savings accounts like 401k, imposed unthought out on and off tariffs which created uncertainty in the markets, which are at the root of the stock market crashes, and have resulted in trade wars that are completely wrecking our economy as well as the economy of several other countries around the world. Failure to do the things he promised to do during the campaign that put him in the White House, like bringing down the cost of living and groceries. Instead, he has done the opposite, with prices having increased and looking to get even worse in as little as 2 to 3 weeks from now. And there is nothing that he can do over the next couple of weeks that can change that. The ships have literally sailed, and the needed inventory to keep the shelves at the stores full is not on them. Disappeared people out of the country into foreign prisons without due process, many that have broken no laws. Insulted and strained the relationship with our closest ally, Canada, by suggesting that it should become the 51st state of the Union and give up its independence and sovereignty, and relinquished our role around the world as the leading force for democracy. So no, we will not calm down, because it has only been a little over 3 months and our country will not survive 4 years of this. And much of the damage that has been done cannot be undone. And it was all self-inflicted and avoidable. If you look at Donald Trump's history, you will find failed business after failed business. Horror stories from small business owners who got involved with Trump and were ruined because everything Trump touches dies. This is the extended hand of humanity, the 21st century underground railroad for pro-democracy Americans seeking safe passage to the truth, as well as the assault on our democracy and those who pose a threat to it. I'm your conductor, Mike B. Follow this space.